Okay, the story's about to ramp up. Here we go. Yeah, I was about to head to the office of this person who was going to solve all my problems. I'm not going to tell you his name. His initials are TC, but not the TC you're thinking about. Okay, I get to his office, and it's in one of those nondescript kind of one story office complexes. So, no red flags at this point. I go in the office, it's very nicely furnished. And TC comes out to greet me. And the first impression I got was, well, he's super unthreatening. He was tall, but very unassuming, kind, soft spoken, even very calm. So he asked me to sit down across the desk from him. And he said, so I've been hearing about the things that you're dealing with, and I can help you. I was like, okay. He said, but first I need you to do something. I was like, what? He said, I need you to take a personality test. I was like, okay. I like personality tests. I do them in Cosmo and Glamour all the time. Fine. So I sit down with this test. It's a 200 question test where you have to answer it the way you're feeling right now on a scale of least like how you're feeling to most like how you're feeling. You know, a typical test. So it took me about 20 minutes, and then I handed it back to him, and he went out of the room to grade it, he said. He comes back in, and he's got this printout of a graph that he puts in front of me. And he explained that the graph showed 10 different personality traits in pairs. So you have things like happy, depressed, stable, unstable, composed, nervous. So things like this. And it plotted based on your answers, you know, on each of those pairs of traits, where you were high or low or in between. Of course, he interpreted it for me because that's what you do. And he said, okay, so let's take a look at this. So you're pretty depressed, but you're pretending not to be. You're being taken advantage of. You're smart, but you're not looking at things with a critical eye. It went on and on. And I just looked at him and I said, how did you know all these things about me? This is exactly right. And he said, I didn't know those things. You told me those things by filling out the test. I was like, ooh, magic. I was very interested at that point. So he said, the first thing we need to do is get you to read a book. And the first book he gave me was called Introduction to Scientology Ethics, which wasn't surprising based on my situation. So I paid for the book, I thanked him, and I left. And I didn't pick it up for a week. I was busy. And about a week after that visit, I was at home, and I got a call from my mom, who had told me that my friend, Chris, had passed away from pneumonia. Well, I knew it wasn't pneumonia. I knew it was AIDS, and it broke me. It just broke me. He was such a good friend, and he was only 24 years old. And I fell to the floor, and I just was sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And, you know, it went on for a while. But the interesting thing is, about a half an hour after I got that call from mom, TC called me. He was doing a routine check in to see how I was doing with the ethics book. And he asked, how are you? And I just, blah, 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 blah. And he just said, come right now, I can help you. And the intention was so strong that it cut through everything. I literally got in the car and went there. I mean, he couldn't have possibly known what I was going through at that moment. I mean, the universe didn't send him, but it sure felt like it did at the time. The minute I got to his office, he walked me outside and started walking me around and pointing at things and having me look at them, like look at that tree, look at the sky, look at that building. That's a Scientology process called a locational, and it's supposed to get you out of your head. And it did. It helped me. It helped me enough so that I could go back into the office and sit down. And then he said, okay, so now we're going to do something called auditing so that you don't have this intense grief around this incident right now. And he said, how auditing works is I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you to recall that incident when your mom called you. I'm going to have you tell me everything about it that you can remember. And then you're going to go back through it over and over and over again until it no longer has any effect on you. Sounded wild, but okay. Sounded kind of psychology-ish, right? So I went over that moment a few times and I wasn't getting any better. He said, okay, we're going to go to an earlier time when you felt this way emotionally. And we kept doing this until I finally hit a moment when I was a little baby girl and my dog, my favorite angel dog passed away. And it's something I'd totally forgotten about, but it was intense grief. And the minute I recalled that incident, all of a sudden, poof, went away. It was gone. I sat up in the chair and I was like, whoa, how did you do that? He said, well, that's what auditing is. And I said, oh, I want more of this. And that's how it started. The next phase of this journey is quite a bit more intense. So we'll start that in the next video. Follow me for more culty goodness.